chubby black maid spent 25 years caring for a paralyzed mafia boss. Then he says, "Today I end this." The syringe trembled in her hand. 25 years she'd cared for him, bathed him, believed him broken. Now Se-Jong Lee sat upright in that Miami penthouse, eyes sharp as knives, and said the 4 words that stopped her heart. "Today I end this." Chelsea Calderon realized the most terrifying thing in that room wasn't his past as a mafia boss. It was discovering he'd never been paralyzed at all. If you crave stories about loyalty tested to its breaking point, subscribe right now. You won't believe where this goes. Hit that like button and let's begin. Chelsea's alarm screamed at 5 every morning, same as it had for 25 years. She silenced it, her body aching before her feet touched the worn carpet of her studio apartment in Little Havana. The mirror showed what the world always saw first, a plus-sized black woman with tired eyes and discount scrubs that never fit quite right. She didn't look long. There wasn't time for that. By 6:30, she was on the bus heading toward Fisher Island, where people like her only existed to serve. The penthouse rose above Biscayne Bay like a glass monument to money and secrets. Inside, Se-Jong Lee sat in his wheelchair facing floor-to-ceiling windows, the Miami sunrise painting his immaculate suit gold. His hands rested motionless on the armrests. To anyone watching, he was a statue, a prisoner in his own body for a quarter century. But his eyes never stopped moving, calculating, measuring, watching. "Good morning, Mr. Lee." Chelsea's voice entered before she did, warm and steady like always. She set down her bag and approached with the gentle respect she'd shown since 1999. "It's Thursday, physical therapy after breakfast." His face remained blank. It always did. She'd learned to fill the silence herself. "You know what's funny?" she said while preparing his meal in the pristine kitchen. 25 years, and I still talk to you like you hear me. My daughter says I'm wasting my breath on a man who doesn't even know I exist." She brought the tray over, her capable hands arranging everything with care. "But I think you do hear me. I think you're in there somewhere, just stuck." She smiled sadly, adjusting his collar. "I know what that feels like, being stuck, being invisible." Se-Jong Lee's chest tightened. If only she knew. The routine was sacred, how he took his tea, the exact angle of his wheelchair by the window, always facing east toward the Atlantic, the careful stretches, the medications, the dignity she gave him when most would have treated him like furniture. That evening, something broke inside her. Another text from another man who'd seemed interested until meeting in person. The words still burned. "You're sweet, but not really my type." Chelsea sat across from Se-Jong, thinking he couldn't see her face crumple. "Why am I never enough?" her voice cracked. "I'm kind, I work hard, I raised a daughter alone, but the world looks at me and sees less, sees someone who doesn't deserve to be chosen." A tear rolled down her cheek. She wiped it quickly, embarrassed even though she thought he couldn't see. Se-Jong Lee's right hand twitched, barely. His jaw clenched so slightly no one else would have noticed. He'd heard every word, felt every ounce of her pain, and the man who'd built an empire on calculated cruelty felt something crack inside his carefully constructed walls. Over the next month, Chelsea noticed things that didn't make sense. The wheelchair had moved 3 inches from where she'd left it, his hand positioned differently after she'd stepped out. Once she could have sworn his eyes followed her across the room. "I'm losing it," she muttered, reorganizing his bookshelf. Medical journals, Korean literature, and strangely, poetry. She pulled out a worn book, Pablo Neruda. "Love poems," she said. "Did someone read these to you before this happened?" Silence. Always silence. But his breathing changed. She was certain. One night, reviewing his old medical files out of curiosity, she found something odd.
His initial diagnosis 25 years ago was incomplete. The neurologist's notes said inconsistent responses requires further evaluation, but nothing followed, like someone had deliberately stopped the investigation. "Mr. Lee," she said slowly the next morning, watching his face, "I need to ask you something crazy." She knelt beside his wheelchair, heart hammering. "Can you hear me? Really hear me?" For 5 excruciating seconds, nothing. Then, so subtle she almost missed it, his pinky finger moved, once, deliberately. Chelsea's blood went cold. "Oh my God, you're in there. You've been in there this whole time." Sejong's face remained a mask, but inside, everything screamed. She knew. After 25 years, she finally knew. The question hung between them like smoke. If he could move, why hadn't he? And what else had he been hiding? The phone call came at midnight. Abraham Drake, Sejong's head of security, his voice tense. "Miss Calderon, return to the penthouse immediately. Security situation. Mr. Lee can't be left unattended." "What situation?" "That's not your concern. A car's already coming." 20 minutes later, Chelsea was back inside. The penthouse was transformed. Shutters down, guards at every entrance, danger thick in the air. They locked her in the guest room adjacent to Sejong's suite. The click of the lock echoed like a gunshot. She found him still in his wheelchair by the window, face expressionless. But now she knew better.
"This is about you, isn't it?" she said quietly. "Someone's coming for you." Hours crawled. Around 3 a.m., Chelsea gave up trying to rest and returned to his room. She pulled a chair close, dropping her voice to a whisper. "I don't know what game you're playing, Sejong Lee." She'd never used his first name. "But if we die tonight, I need to know why. Why pretend? Why let me care for you like you were broken when maybe you never were?" In the moonlight, a single tear tracked down his cheek. The man who couldn't move was crying. "Oh God," Chelsea breathed, reaching instinctively to wipe it away. The moment she touched his skin, his eyes closed slowly, deliberately. An answer, an apology, a confession. She kept her hand there, cupping his face, and something shifted in that dark room, something that had been building for 25 years without either naming it. "We're going to survive this," she promised, though she had no idea if it was true. "And then you're going to tell me everything." His eyes opened, meeting hers fully for the first time. Chelsea saw it, the man behind the mask, lonely, terrified, desperate to be known. Morning came, the immediate threat passed, but Chelsea was done with silence. "I'm searching this room," she announced, "and you're going to let me." She found the safe, inside a worn leather journal, photographs of a young Sejong smiling beside a beautiful woman holding a baby. The next photo showed the woman in a hospital bed, dying, the baby in an incubator. She flipped through, piecing it together. His wife had died in childbirth. The baby, a daughter, survived only 3 weeks. The final entry was dated 25 years and 2 months ago, right before his paralysis began. "You wanted to disappear," she whispered. "The mafia life took everything, and you wanted to vanish without them killing you." His jaw tightened. Confirmation. She found more, transfer records, secret accounts, plans. He'd been systematically dismantling his organization from the inside for 2.5 decades, transferring money to victims' families, feeding information to the authorities through intermediaries. "You're not the monster," she breathed. "You're trying to destroy it from within." Then she found recent entries, pages in Korean, but her name appeared again and again. Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea.
What did you write about me? For the first time, Sejong's lips moved, forming silent words she couldn't hear, but she didn't need to. She saw it in his eyes. Everything he'd been too afraid to say. Everything fell apart on a Tuesday. Chelsea arrived to find the penthouse in chaos. Men in expensive suits filled the hall. Organization leaders she'd only heard whispers about. 3 years of this pathetic act, a harsh voice echoed from the study. Jaylene Salinas, one of the underbosses. We've been patient, but the other families are circling. They think we're weak. His condition is permanent, Abraham Drake said carefully. Permanent? We've bled territory, lost income, and for what? Chelsea pushed the door open. Every eye turned. Sejong was there, wheelchair at the table's head, face blank. Get out, someone snarled. Don't talk about him like that, Chelsea said, voice shaking but firm. Talk about what? About how convenient his paralysis started right after he transferred millions? About how he's been feeding our secrets to the feds? The room went silent. Chelsea's blood turned to ice. She looked at Sejong, searching for denial. He gave her nothing. She knows nothing, Drake said. She's just a caregiver. Just a fool, Edgar Jenkins laughed cruelly. 25 years wiping his ass while he played us all. Chelsea felt like she was drowning. She looked at Sejong one last time, silently begging. His eyes met hers for a fraction of a second. Apology, resignation, goodbye. He was choosing silence, protecting her the only way he knew. I want her gone, Selena said, tonight. And Sejong, your time is up, one way or another. Chelsea ran, packing with shaking hands, tears blurring everything. 25 years of caring, of slowly falling for a man she thought she understood. Had any of it been real? 3 days passed like years. On the 4th night, her phone rang. Abraham Drake. Listen carefully. He's dying. The organization voted. Tomorrow night they remove him. He refused to defend himself, just sits there accepting it. Why are you telling me this? A long pause. Because in 25 years, you're the only person who made him smile. I saw it once when you weren't looking, and I think you're the only reason he'd want to live. The line went dead. Chelsea sat frozen. He'd lied, used her, let her walk away thinking she was nothing. But she remembered his tears, how he'd held her hand, how he'd cried. Damn it, she whispered, grabbing her keys. Sejong sat in his wheelchair facing the window, where he'd spent 25 years pretending. Tomorrow it would end. The organization would make it look like an accident. His incomplete plan would die with him. He'd accepted it. After losing his wife, his daughter, any hope of redemption, what was left? Then he heard footsteps, impossible ones. You're an idiot, a brilliant, self-sacrificing idiot. He wanted to turn, but the mask had become so natural. She walked around to face him, eyes fierce. I know why you stayed silent. You thought protecting me meant pushing me away. His throat worked, but nothing came.
Well, guess what? She knelt, grabbing his face with both hands. I don't want safe. I want here, with you, because in 25 years, you became my person. Chelsea. His voice cracked, raw from a quarter-century of silence. They'll kill you. Then we die together. She was crying now. But we die as us, not as your lies and my fears, as truth. I can't give you normal. I don't want normal. I want real, and you're the most real thing I've ever had. His hands, trembling after 25 years, rose from the armrests, slowly, deliberately, the pretending ending in a single choice. He cupped her face. I love you, he breathed. God help me, I love you. Chelsea kissed him, and the world outside faded to nothing.
The penthouse's main hall had never seen anything like it. Sejong Lee stood fully and steadily, Chelsea beside him, hands clasped. The organization sat in stunned silence. For 25 years, Sejong said, voice stronger with each word, I've been dismantling this empire from inside, transferring funds to victims, feeding evidence to authorities, preparing for this moment. You're a traitor, Selena spat. I'm a man who lost everything to this life and refused to lose anything more. He looked at Chelsea, including her. You think we'll just let you walk? Abraham Drake stepped forward with a folder. Signed confessions, financial records, everything linking each of you to murders, trafficking, racketeering, already in FBI hands. If anything happens to Sejong or Miss Calderon, it goes public. The room erupted. Threats, negotiations, finally an agreement. Sejong would disappear with his share and never return. The organization would restructure under new leadership with federal oversight. It wasn't perfect, but it was over. 6 months later, Chelsea stood on a beach in the Florida Keys, feeling sand between her toes and sun on her face. Behind her, a small cottage, nothing like the penthouse, perfect because of it. Arms wrapped around her waist, she leaned into Sejong's chest. Still getting used to you standing, she murmured. Still getting used to deserving you, he replied, kissing her temple. They'd left everything behind, the money, the power, the old names, started fresh where no one knew their faces or their past. Chelsea, he said, drawing out her name like he still marveled at speaking it. Sejong, she echoed, smiling. She turned in his arms, cupping his face like she had 100 times now. I love you, he answered, my impossible saving grace. They walked inside together, fingers intertwined, leaving footprints the tide would wash away. But their story would remain, because sometimes the most unexpected love is the one that sees you when you're invisible, that stands when you've fallen, that proves finally you were always enough.